The blood was still wet when I found the telegram this morning. I'm recording this because I might not survive the next few days. If you're hearing this, something happened to me at the house on Millbrook Lane, but someone needs to know what my family has been hiding for over a century. The telegram shouldn't have been bleeding. I hadn't cut myself. There was no explanation for crimson droplets seeping through yellow paper, spelling out words that would destroy my life. Uncle Cornelius, dead, stop house yours now, stop beware the stairs, stop. As I watched in my Boston apartment, frozen with terror, the blood began to move. The words rearranged themselves. Margaret, stop, they know you're coming. Stop climbing, climbing, always climbing. Stop. That's when I knew this wasn't about an inheritance. This was about a debt my family had been paying for generations. And now it was my turn. The train to Millbrook carried the scent of decay in its very steel. Every passenger car was empty except for me, but I could feel eyes watching from seats that should have been vacant. The conductor appeared without warning. One moment the aisle was clear, the next he stood beside my seat. Gaunt face, skeletal frame, eyes like chips of obsidian. Blackwood, he said, his voice like gravel in a cement mixer. I hadn't given him my name. How did you... They all come back eventually. His smile revealed too many teeth, all razor sharp. The house calls to its own, always has, always will. He moved on, leaving behind the smell of formaldehyde and something else, wet earth and old bones. When I looked at the telegram again, new words had appeared in that same wet blood. The conductor knows stop. They all know stop. The house remembers stop. Outside, storm clouds gathered with impossible speed. In their swirling patterns, I swear I saw faces, twisted, agonized expressions, screaming warnings I couldn't hear. Millbrook Station, the conductor announced, his voice echoing with impossible volume. End of the line, beginning of the line. Some passengers must stay forever. I was the only one who got off. The platform was empty except for one figure waiting in the shadows, Mr. Hendricks, my family's lawyer. But something was wrong. Terribly wrong. He looked exactly as he had 15 years ago when I was a child. Not a day older. Not a single new wrinkle. Miss Blackwood, he said, extending a hand that felt like ice-cold marble. I've been waiting for you. The house has been patient, but patience has its limits. Mr. Hendricks, you look the same? His smile was sharp as a blade. Time moves differently in Millbrook. You'll learn that soon enough. As we walked toward his car, a black sedan that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, I noticed my footsteps echoing strangely. Each step produced not one sound, but many, as if countless feet were walking with me. Looking back, I saw them, shadows on the platform, dozens of them, all walking in my exact footsteps, all transparent, all wearing my face. The previous inheritors, Mr. Hendricks said casually, as if discussing weather. They never really leave, you know. The house won't let them. He opened the car door, and I could smell something coming from inside, sulfur mixed with something organic and wrong. Get in, Miss Blackwood. It's time you learned the truth about your family's legacy. The house on Millbrook Lane stood like a geometric impossibility against the storm-darkened sky. I'd seen it in photographs, in Uncle Cornelius's obsessive sketches, in nightmares that had plagued my childhood. But nothing prepared me for the reality. It was wrong, Not just architecturally, though the angles did bend in ways that made my eyes water, but fundamentally wrong, as if it violated some essential law of the universe. The Victorian facade was beautiful in its Gothic intricacy, but the proportions were subtly off. Windows appeared where they shouldn't exist. Doors opened onto empty air. The whole structure seemed to shift and breathe. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Mr. Hendricks said, but his voice came from behind me, though I was certain he'd been to my left. "Your great-great-grandfather had quite the eye for aesthetics." The front door was carved with symbols that crawled across the wood like living things. At its center was a brass knocker shaped like a human hand, fingers too long, proportions just wrong enough to be deeply unsettling. "The key." Mr. Hendricks pressed something into my palm. It was warm, almost hot, pulsing with its own heartbeat. "Fair warning. Once you cross the threshold, you become part of the house's ecosystem. It will test you." The key slid into the lock with a sound like a satisfied sigh. The door swung open, revealing a foyer that stretched impossibly far, its black and white checkered floor extending beyond any light source. "Your uncle spent his final years researching your family's obligations," Mr. Hendricks said. "The Blackwood family made a bargain in 1847. Every generation one member must serve as guardian." "Guardian of what?" His smile revealed teeth black as coal. "You'll find out soon enough." The first step across the threshold sent a shock through my entire body. The door slammed shut behind me with a sound like a gunshot, and I heard locks engaging, dozens of them, designed to keep something in rather than out. The walls were lined with portraits, dozens of them, all depicting Blackwood family members, all with the same hollow, haunted expression. And they were all watching me. I could feel their painted eyes tracking my movement as I walked deeper into the foyer. When I finally worked up the courage to look directly at them, I realized they were breathing. The subtle rise and fall of painted chests, the barely perceptible shift of eyes, lips moving to form words I couldn't hear. At the end of the hall, I found Uncle Cornelius. He looked exactly as I remembered, but his painted lips were moving. Somehow, I could understand what he was saying. "Welcome home, Margaret. We've been waiting for you, all of us. The house has been empty for 3 days now. 3 days of silence while things press against the walls from the other side. Can you hear them scratching? Can you feel them watching?" "Uncle Cornelius," I whispered. The portrait smiled, not the gentle expression I remembered, but something predatory and knowing. "The stairs, Margaret, always the stairs. They lead everywhere and nowhere. Count the steps, never count the steps. The 13th step doesn't exist. The 13th step is the only one that matters." I spun around, and the foyer had changed completely. The checkered floor now showed a pattern that hurt to look at directly, and dominating the space was a massive spiral staircase that hadn't been there moments before. From somewhere above came the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, descending. Uncle Cornelius's voice whispered in my mind, "Don't look up. Never look up when you hear the footsteps. They're not coming down to meet you. They're coming down to count you." But I couldn't help myself. I looked up. The staircase stretched through impossible distances, and on the stairs, descending in perfect synchronization, were figures. Dozens of them, all wearing the faces of my ancestors, all carrying something that gleamed in the darkness, and they were all looking directly at me.